Hello everyone, welcome to Foster Recap. If you like our content, please subscribe. The movie begins with a young boy narrating the gripping tale of Turkey's sultan who enslaved over 1,000 Transylvanian boys, training them relentlessly to become elite soldiers in the sultan's feared Janissary Corps. The training they endured was not only arduous but also deadly, as many of them lost their lives in the process. However, one particular boy emerged as a formidable warrior, earning the ominous moniker, Vlad the Impaler, son of the dragon. With a chilling reputation for impaling his enemies on spears, Vlad eventually grew sickened by his own brutality and abandoned his dark past. Returning to his homeland, Vlad sought to rule in peace. After a decade of his reign, a fateful day dawns as Vlad inspects a broken helmet belonging to a Turkish soldier near a river stream. His instincts alert him to the possibility of a Turk scouting party preparing the way for an invasion. Tracing the origin of the stream, Vlad discovers it flows from the forbidding Broken Tooth Mountain. Suspecting that the Turkish troops might be hiding there, he ventures into the treacherous terrain with two trusted companions. Reaching the mountain's summit, they stumble upon a cavern shrouded in darkness. Inside, a gruesome sight awaits them, as the cave is littered with blood and the skeletal remains of countless victims. Suddenly, they are attacked by a fearsome creature possessing unearthly strength and lightning-fast reflexes. Vlad's comrades fall victim to the beast, but he manages to narrowly escape. Realizing that sunlight weakens his assailant, Vlad seeks counsel from a local monk, who reveals that the creature is a blood-sucking vampire named Caligula, a Roman Empire ruler who had been ensnared by a demon in exchange for power and success but was imprisoned in the cave as a consequence. Undeterred by the horrors he has witnessed, Vlad returns to his people, celebrating the joyous Eastern feast alongside his beloved wife, Myrina, and their young son, Indras. However, their festivities are interrupted when a contingent of Turkish soldiers arrives to collect tribute payments in the form of silver coins. To Vlad's shock, the new sultan also announces the reintroduction of the Janissaries and demands the conscription of 1,000 boys for their training as a tribute. Refusing to subject his people to such a fate, Vlad boldly defies the sultan's orders. That night, Vlad's wife, Myrina, advises him to visit the sultan personally, appealing to their shared history and brotherly bond. Recognizing the importance of this encounter, Vlad sets off the next day to meet the Sultan Mehmed II, who had a nice modern hairstyle. Vlad tried to reason with the sultan, but the stubborn ruler remained obstinate. He ordered Vlad to send his son as well, so the young boy could grow up under Mehmed's roof. Vlad vehemently disagreed, but Mehmed issued a warning, implying that war would be the consequence if Vlad didn't comply. Left with no choice, Vlad reluctantly accepted the sultan's demand and returned to Transylvania. As Vlad prepared to hand over his son, his wife Myrina pleaded with him not to take their child. Turkish soldiers arrived to claim the boy, and Vlad initially handed his son over. However, a change of heart suddenly overcame him, and he whispered in his son's ear, instructing him to run to his mother. In a swift and decisive move, Vlad killed the Turkish soldiers using their own weapons. Realizing that war was imminent, Vlad quickly sent his family to their castle for safety. Promising his men that he would protect them, Vlad set off for Broken Tooth Mountain once again. Venturing inside the cavern, he faced the vampire and explained his purpose for returning. Vlad sought the vampire's help, knowing that his incredible strength could decimate any army. The vampire cautioned Vlad about the consequences, emphasizing the need for immense willpower to control the thirst for blood. If Vlad could master this control, he would regain his human form, otherwise, he would unleash the vampire from the confines of the cave. Agreeing to the vampire's terms, Vlad accepted his offer and consumed some of the vampire's blood, granting him extraordinary powers. Overwhelmed, Vlad lost consciousness. Upon awakening near a river downstream, Vlad felt the searing pain of the silver ring he wore. Swiftly removing it and transforming it into a chain, he discovered his heightened senses, capable of perceiving ultrasonic sounds and hearing the heartbeats of animals from miles away. Vlad realized that his castle was under attack by the Turks and swiftly raced towards it. Along the way, he discovered his newfound ability to transform into a cloud of bats. Reaching the castle, Vlad reassured his people that everything would be fine. He went outside alone. He fought like a one-man army, single-handedly decimating the enemy forces. No Turkish soldier survived his wrath. When his men inquired about the astonishing feat, Vlad extracted a promise from them to remain silent. He then ordered his people to seek refuge in Kozia Monastery for their safety on the top of the hill, so Turk's cannon shots does not reach that height. Meanwhile, Muhammad, infuriated by Vlad's defiance, decided to send a massive army of 100,000 men to bring him down. He ordered his soldiers to capture Vlad and bring his head to him, with his son at his side. Despite the overwhelming odds, Vlad and his soldiers were determined to win this war within 3 months. However, Vlad corrected them, confidently stating that he would secure victory in just 3 days. Inside their tent, Vlad and his wife yearned for an intimate moment, but Vlad's bloodlust surged, threatening to overpower him. Exercising tremendous self-control, he resisted the urge and distanced himself from her. Seeking solace, Vlad ventured into the nearby woods, where he encountered a man who recognized him as a vampire. The man offered his blood, but Vlad declined the proposition and sent him away. In the vicinity of the camp, Turkish soldiers launched attacks on the innocent people. Vlad's soldiers valiantly defended their brethren, knowing that the Turks' primary objective was to abduct Vlad's son. With lightning speed, Vlad raced towards the camp. Tragically, one of Vlad's friends sacrificed his own life to protect Vlad's family. Overwhelmed with grief, Vlad swiftly eliminated all the Turkish soldiers, mourning the loss of his loyal friend. Come morning, Vlad presented Muhammad with a grim gift, the sight of all 100,000 enemy soldiers impaled on spikes, their lifeless bodies displayed amidst the crops. Vlad left a message for Muhammad, taunting him about enjoying the gruesome view. Enraged by this display of Vlad's strength, Muhammad discussed the matter with his commanders and prepared for war, devising a plan. Blindfolding his soldiers, Muhammad boldly declared that he would lead them blindly into battle against the enemy. As morning dawned, the sun cast its bright rays upon the land, a perilous situation for Vlad, as vampires cannot withstand direct sunlight. Vlad revealed his predicament to his wife, showing her his vulnerability, and asked her to lead the army to Kozia Monastery. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Myrina agreed. Once they all reached the safety of the monastery, Vlad strategized for the impending war, meticulously planning his moves. As Vlad ventured out with his soldiers, he deliberately evaded the sunlight, aware that his actions were being observed by a monk. The monk soon realized that Vlad had made a pact with an evil vampire, exposing this revelation to everyone. Outraged and fearful, the people sought to kill Vlad, locking him inside a tent and setting it ablaze. Myrina desperately tried to intervene and make them understand the truth. To everyone's astonishment, Vlad emerged from the engulfed tent unharmed, his body untouched by the flames. He roared at the crowd, explaining his decision and the sacrifices he had made to protect them all. The people began to comprehend his intentions, their anger subsiding as understanding dawned. Later, in the sanctuary of the prayer hall, Vlad was approached by his son. Curious about his father's outburst, the young prince questioned him. Vlad lovingly explained that his actions were driven by a deep desire to safeguard his son and other innocent children. In that tender moment, father and son shared a bond of understanding and love. Suddenly, the arrival of Mehmed and his army shattered the tranquility. Vlad summoned a swarm of bats from the nearby forest, unleashing them upon the bewildered Turks. Chaos ensued as the bats attacked the soldiers, leaving them disoriented and vulnerable. Amidst the mayhem, Vlad caught sight of Muhammad and moved to eliminate him. Vlad's power overcame Muhammad momentarily, but it was soon revealed that the man he had attacked was not the true Muhammad, for the Sultan had concealed himself among his soldiers. Realizing he had been deceived, Vlad witnessed some Turks infiltrating the monastery from its rear, attacking the soldiers who had remained to protect the young prince. Valiantly, Vlad's loyal friend fought to defend them but met a tragic end. Meanwhile, the prince and the queen found themselves near a cliff, desperately calling out to Vlad for help. However, time slipped away, and before Vlad could reach them, the Turks abducted the prince, callously throwing the queen off the cliff to her demise. The ruthless acts committed by some of the Turkish soldiers unnoticed by Muhammad, who observed everything from within his ranks. Filled with grief and determination, Vlad rushed to rescue Myrina as she fell, but his efforts were in vain. Devastated by her loss, Vlad buried Myrina's lifeless body and, driven by anguish and desperation, fulfilled her final wish. He drank her blood, breaking the 3-day condition he had agreed to with the vampire. Finally, the malevolent being trapped in the cave was set free. In a solemn ceremony, Vlad transformed all the fallen soldiers and people into vampires, rushing towards Turks. Inside the Turkish camp, a menacing storm began to brew, drawing the attention of Muhammad and his soldiers. Muhammad recognized it as a sign of Vlad's vengeful approach and hurried inside his tent, bracing himself for the confrontation to come. Meanwhile, Vlad, donning his formidable dragon armor, led his vampire army in a fierce assault on the Turkish soldiers' camp. With his supernatural abilities, Vlad swiftly eliminated a number of Turks, leaving a trail of chaos in his wake. Determined to reach Muhammad, he pressed forward, the weight of revenge heavy on his shoulders. Finally, he arrived at Muhammad's tent, only to find it filled to the brim with silver coins, currency previously given to Muhammad by Vlad himself. The presence of silver weakened Vlad's powers, making him vulnerable in the face of his nemesis. Undeterred, Muhammad held Vlad's son hostage, issuing a challenge for a battle to determine their fates. With swords drawn, both warriors engaged in a fierce duel, their blades clashing with deadly precision. Muhammad exploited Vlad's weakness, hurling silver at him to further diminish his strength. Gradually, Vlad's power waned, and he collapsed, battered and defenseless. Seizing the opportunity, Muhammad reached for a stake, intent on ending Vlad's life. However, in a stunning turn of events, Vlad transformed into a swirling cloud of bats, evading Muhammad's lethal strike. In a swift and calculated move, the bat cloud descended upon Muhammad, impaling him with the very stake intended for Vlad's demise. Then Vlad said, he rescued his son when out. Outside, the remaining vampires reveled in the defeat of the Turkish soldiers, their insatiable hunger driving them to seek sustenance from Vlad's son. With lightning speed, Vlad eliminated one of the vampires who dared to attack his beloved child. However, the uncontrolled vampires, consumed by their primal urges, turned against Vlad, overwhelming him with their combined strength. In the midst of the chaos, the monastery monk, recognizing the imminent danger, swiftly intervened, rescuing the prince and whisking him away to safety. Meanwhile, Vlad, standing alone against his former allies, summoned his superhuman powers. With a mighty exertion, he cleared the darkened sky, allowing the radiant sunlight to bathe the battlefield. As the sun's rays intensified, the vampires, unable to withstand its lethal touch, began to disintegrate one by one. The prince, witnessing his father's valiant sacrifice, mourned the loss of his beloved parent. In the aftermath of the battle, the people of Wallachia recognized the prince's bravery and resilience. In a solemn ceremony, he was crowned as the new king, tasked with carrying on his father's legacy and protecting their land. Meanwhile, a man who had crossed paths with Vlad near the woods approached, offering his loyalty and support. He dragged Vlad's dying body out of the piercing sunlight and selflessly offered him his own blood. The restorative properties of the blood coursed through Vlad's veins, bringing him back from the brink of death. In the present day, Vlad meets a woman named Mina who strikingly resembles Myrina in the streets of modern London. The vampire who cursed Vlad watches them from afar. As they walk away, he follows, saying, "Let the games begin." The end.